But the thing is how to do a quality assessment mediated by technologies, with all the technologies we have now, that we can take advantage of that. So is the use of digital technologies in different devices now, I mean tablets or mobile phones or computers and so on, to create and to design assessment and to provide feedback in different ways and in different types of assessment. And these types, let me just summarize in three main ones. It's a traditional distinction between diagnostic, I mean, to test if our students are ready for something, and technologies can help us very much in this task, and even to give them the opportunity to self-test themselves before register or to be enrolled in any course. Then we have these two main assessment procedures or objectives of the assessment. The first one is formative. That it means that we monitor the student and or give the student the opportunity to self-monitoring him or herself. And well, this is in, as it says in the slide, is it takes place along the learning in progress, and it doesn't grade. So it's just to monitor the student and to help the student to identify gaps and things that might be, well, they might be not good enough. And finally, the summative assessment is a traditional one, more traditional one, with final evaluation of the students. So that is just for an overall vision for what the starting point of the e-assessment. And this webinar, so this e-assessment week, has been divided into two days. The first one took place on Tuesday with two presentations, Academic Dishonesty, Challenges and Solutions by Jose Jansen, and Teachers' Intentions and Students' Perceptions of Written Feedback by Kim Dirks, both teachers from the Open University of the Netherlands. And today again, well, we have the Open University of the Netherlands with Ellen Resman, and also the Spanish National Distance Education University. So I think two great and traditional open universities in Europe. So I'm going to give the floor now to Ellen Resman, and she's going to present herself and her interesting topics with something I think today we are going to present very interesting tools to deliver online assessment, and the first one is Viewbrics. So Ellen, the floor is yours, and you can start your presentation when you want.
Angeles. I will start my presentation. I think Lizzie will have to share the screens to show the presentation. Well, as Angeles introduced, I'm from the Welte Institute, from the Technology Enhanced Learning and Innovation Program. So I will be talking about Viewbrics, and it's mainly about the design research process, the resulting formative assessment methodology, and the functionality of a Viewbrics online tool that we developed. That's a prototype for research. And I'll report something about future research. And we will also discuss the applicability of Viewbrics in other educational contexts. But we first want to introduce you to the term complex generic skills, also transversal skills. And it's a skill that consists of different sub-skills, and for which you need a lot of cognitive effort and concentration, and a lot of practice in order to master them. And if you are talking about complex generic skills, these are skills that are not specific for a domain or occupation or a specific task, but important for all kinds of work, educational and life situations in general. And so these skills are applicable in a broad range of situations and for many different subject domains. So these are the skills we are talking about today, in which we try to help students to learn these skills. So I would first like to know a little bit more about who is participating in this webinar. So therefore, we prepared some questions that Lissy is going to demonstrate to you now. I will switch between the presentation and the Click meeting. And if you could please answer the questions, then we will know who are the people that are in this webinar. Do you all see the questions over here?
13 people have filled it out so far. Would you like me to share it?
Yes, I think that would be nice to give an impression of the people that are here.
So I've just shared the results, so you can see who is here.
I don't see any results yet. So.
Oh, I'm very sorry. Can you see it now?
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, now, yeah. So most of you are managers in higher educations or an advisor or trainer in higher educations, I see. And an equal percentage of teachers and researchers. Prepared some additional questions, but maybe in the light of time and to be able to tell you a bit more about the project, I'll just go ahead with the more content related bit of the presentation. So you see my screen again?
Yes.
Yes, great. You here see a group of people in secondary schools that are collaborating for a project assignment. And project-based education in many schools in the Netherlands is a way to address learning complex generic skills, also called 21st century skills. But one of the assumptions here is that by just doing these projects, pupils will learn these skills automatically. And in many cases, there is no specific instructional support given to master and to learn these skills. So it's actually unlikely that students will automatically master the skills during the project-based education. And if teachers use methods and instruments to support learning complex generic skills, many of them, they use analytic assessment rubrics that are textual descriptions of different mastery levels of a skill by means of a set of performance indicators. And these performance indicators specify different aspects in the complexity of a skill and the different sub-skills and the associated performance level per sub-skill. And many times these rubrics are text-based rubrics. And they actually are very helpful because they specify the targets that students are working up to, but also can be used as evaluating their performance in order to see what they can work for the next time. So if we think of students as plants, you see that if we talk about term summative assessment, we kind of assess the length of the plants. And if we talk about formative assessment, we are actually feeding and watering the plants in order to foster their growth. And this is what we try to do in this approach, that we provide feed up and feed forward and feedback for students that are learning skills. So if we look at rubrics as instrument to provide feedback, and many of these rubrics are text-based, are these the best possible solutions to support feedback in the mastery of complex skills? And we thought actually about, well, skills, they are referring to motoric activities and different types of operations and processes that are very hard to capture in text. For example, body posture or voice during a presentation. And also the context in which a skill is practiced is very important for learning, because there's different kind of implicit knowledge that is interwoven with activities in the physical world that you can't really describe by means of text. And also it leaves a lot of personal interpretation of the performance indicator than a video. So we concluded that text-based rubrics, they are very helpful, but they also have a restricted capacity to clarify the targeted mastery level of a skill. So therefore, we thought about this concept we called video-enhanced rubrics. So it's the synthesis of video modeling examples and a text-based rubric in a formative assessment format. And we are actually researching the effect of video-enhanced rubrics on different types of things. So one of the assumption is that we have is that by offering video-enhanced rubrics, you can learn from observation, from different examples, and this helps you to form a mental model of a complex skill. And we also think that if you have a more complex and elaborate enriched mental model, that you will be able to provide more quality feedback to others. So what is quality feedback? Well, we think it will be more concrete, more consistent, and maybe also the perceived quality of the receiver will be different. And in the end, of course, we hope that this will help to effectively master a skill. So we actually combined the perspective from theory, but also from practice, because many teachers are looking for a structured way to support learning complex generic skills, but also in an efficient and effective way. So with paper-based rubric, for example, you do have a way and an instrument to provide feed up and feed forward and feedback. But it's all paper-based, and that's very time-consuming. So therefore, we started a project called Viewbrics, and in this project, we collaborate between different kind of organizations. So with the big umbrella organizations that are the leading overarching organizations over schools, with several secondary schools, and with our research institute and some dissemination organizations. And this project is financed by the NRO. So this is a Dutch national organization for research and funding of research. So in the project, we have two research phases, one design research phase and one semi-experimental research, which are now we are now in the data collection phase. But in this talk, I will mainly describe the design research approach that we followed. And we follow this approach for the development of, the rubrics for 3 different skills. The video modeling examples and the feedback and reflection methodology that we developed and expressed in an online tool. And we finally expect that the use of the Viewbrics will lead to richer mental models, as I said, the improved feedback quality, the accelerated growth of skills, and more satisfied teachers and students. And we will measure this by different sources like the mind maps, rubric scores, questionnaires, and logging data. And we compare the effects in 3 conditions within each school. So we have 3 classes within a school, and one class has the video-enhanced rubrics, one has the text-based, and one has the currently used formative assessment method. And we compare these classes, which are from the same level, which is the first grade of Atheneum and Gymnasium. Well, what's the design-based research approach? We develop rubrics for 3 skills, namely collaboration, presenting, and for information literacy. And we did this by looking in literature for the different sub-skills a skill consists of. And we evaluated rubrics and with teachers, which are part of the Viewbrics project team. And once the teachers felt comfortable with the version we had. We evaluated the language of the different rubrics with the pupils in the secondary school. And we developed for each of these skills, a skills hierarchy. So for example, this is the one for collaboration. So it consists of different clusters, skills clusters. So organizing the team, participate in a team, enhance the team atmosphere, and how motivated they are to contribute to team results. And each of these skills clusters consists of sub-skills. So organizing team consists of dividing roles and tasks, making planning, and so on. So we did this for each of the skills. And for each sub-skill, we developed like 4 mastery level descriptions, starting with the ones you finally need to reach, and until the lowest level that is expected for this specific target group at the moment. So this is the examples for information literacy and presenting skill. Just, I know you can't really, but just to give you an impression of what we developed. And we also use this design research approach to develop the online feedback and reflection tool. So we made rubrics and video model examples. And we actually hope that this approach will prevent piles of paperwork for the teachers. And then we provide feedback in a set of in a set format to practice skills by making video enhanced rubric available, a dashboard with summary of the feedback that students acquire. And we hope that this will help students to see very quickly what goes well already with the skill and what still may be improved. And we also hope that it fosters individual reflection and also helps to registrate performances of students, which is also very usable across courses and grades, but also to inform talks with parents to let them see how the students perform. So we evaluated this methodology, this online feedback and reflection methodology with pupils in different schools. This is in Grootjes. You see a representation of the sub-skills. I will just explain you a little bit further on how the tool works. This is answering questions. This gives you some idea of the evaluation we did in pilots with teachers and students. So here the students provided and they selected words that best describe their experiences with the tool, and then they explained why they selected this word. So, and this finally led to the feedback and reflection process that is part of the online tool. So students will watch the video enhanced rubrics, then they practice the skills themselves. Then they first assess their own performance, and once they did that, they assess themselves. They will look at and analyze the feedback of teachers and peers and determine the next learning objectives to start a practice cycle over again. So this is how the system looks like. You get messages with tasks, and the first task is that you look at the video, for example, for collaboration. And then students, they look at the video modeling examples, and if you see the purple bits here beneath the screen, there are questions that are meant to link the video fragments that students watched to the different sub-skills that are part of a skill. So this is an example of such a question. So how does Tess arrange that she gets the attention of the class? So this is something you saw in the video, and it links this this part of the video to the part of the rubrics. This give an introduction if you present something. So this is the processing support and the linking question. And this is the part that links the video fragments to the sub-skills in the rubric. So the students are asked to answer the linking question. And then if they answered it, they get a standard answer. And once they went through watching this whole video, they are given the possibility to look at fragments of the video again by selecting the different sub-skills of a skills cluster, or they could watch the complete video again, but without all the questions in it. So this is the preparational phase. And then they practice their complex generic skill, for example, here presenting. And then they assess themselves on the performance, so how they think they did for themselves. And you see here the tabs, they are the different skill clusters. Then each of the descriptions here are the sub-skills. And you see whether you already rated yourself or not. The rating goes like this. So you have here the different mastery descriptions. And if you want to look at a video again, a small fragment of the video that demonstrates this part of the sub-skill, then you can click this button. So here you select the mastery level description that you think you did your presentation on, and then if you assessed yourself, then you get this summary. So the summary represents the feedback of others on how you did. And each of the spokes of this wheel, it's a sub-skill of the complete skill. And you see here that, for example, on this skill, you did it not so well. So the introduction was not done very well. But this one, it's about talks to the public and uses non-formal feedback to actually adapt your presentation. This person did very well according to the peer feedback. And below the wheel, you see the 3 things that you did best and the 3 things that you can still improve. So if you do it between 2 different presentations, you can also see where you grew, where on a specific sub-skill, or where it went less well than the last time. And all the peers and teachers, they provide also tips and tops. So they explain why they rated you in a specific way. And after you did yourself, after you read all these things, you summarize the most important learning objectives for the next time. And so this, you can be part of the practicing in the next round that you and here you could of course also be the one that provides feedback to another pupil or a student. So this would work more or less the same. You have the same same screens, only the tips and top screen is a little bit different. So at the moment, the research is still ongoing. So the implementation, so this is currently being implemented in 2 schools where they have 3 different groups doing different things in each schools. And the first results on the effectiveness are expected in October 2018. And now I would like to know a little bit more about your opinion until now of what I presented. So therefore, Lissy has a poll, and I would like to see what you think about what I've said. So can we switch to the poll, Lissy?
Yes, it's on there. People can see it.
Is there already something to display? Okay, so yeah, most of you think that it can be helpful to provide insight in their growth. Could we go to the next question? I have 3 questions. As I thought, okay, we now develop this methodology for the context of secondary education. However, maybe it's also applicant for higher education and could be applied to generic skills or complex skills that are domain dependent in higher education. So I thought it would be interesting to see what you think. Yeah. So I realize it's a lot of information in a very short time, so I'll give you some pointers later on, and Lizzie will send you something too after the webinar. So if you are interested, then you can elaborate a little bit more on this topic. Then I also like to know more about this issue. Would you answer the question? Any answer yet? Yeah, most of you would like to know more. Now, that's good to hear. So I'll present you to some video. So we have a very short video for a little bit over 1 minute that you could have a look at. That can be found on the YouTube link. I will ask Lizzie to include it to the mail or that is sent afterwards. And we also have some leaflet with more information. And if you are interested at the moment, please contact me and the whole Viewbrics team. And you can have a little bit more information on the Viewbrics website. You could also register for some additional information to Mika Hamers. So thank you very much for your attention. Well, I would like to thank you from all the project participants and are involved in this project, and I hope you get inspired by this methodology.
Thank you very much, Helena. I found really interesting this methodology. I think it's a quite enriched a way of giving a quality assessment and formative assessment to our students and to help them and support them in the learning process. So I think it's quite interesting. We will see the video now.
I think I found the video. Ellen, is it okay if we show it right now?
Oh yeah, it's possible if we still have thought maybe people
when it comes to mastering
watch it
complex
later, but
generic
if you think it's feasible at the moment, then we can watch it now.
I think 1 minute we can manage.
Okay.
When it comes to mastering complex generic skills, research shows that it is important to form a consistent mental model of all constituent subskills and accompanying mastery levels. Once you know the level of mastery you're aiming for, you can compare your performance against this benchmark and then work on the subskills that you lack. However, teaching and assessment methodologies to support mastery of generic skills are often missing, and many secondary schools struggle when it comes to evaluating student skills. Text-based rubrics are sometimes used, but they have only a limited capacity when it comes to conveying contextualised, procedural, time-related and observable behavioural aspects of a skill. Viewbrics addresses this by providing video-enhanced rubrics with modelling examples for 3 complex generic skills: collaborating, presenting and information literacy, combined with structured feedback and reflection support. Viewbrics also investigates the impact of these video-enhanced rubrics on the construction of rich mental models. Through a participatory design process, we have jointly developed the video-enhanced rubrics and feedback and reflection cycle, which are at the heart of Viewbrics. Interested? Contact us for more information.
We can't listen to you, Ellen. You can listen to the voice.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Ah, great. I said, well, that was a very short summary, a video summary of our project. So if there are any questions, well, we still have a few minutes, I guess, to answer the questions.
Yeah, we can have some questions now answered, and then we can have the discussion or the whole discussion, because I think there are complementary things what we are going to talk about, and we can also have the discussion after if there is not just a main question now.
Yeah, depends whether there is any question at the moment.
Yeah,
that's specifically meant for.
I only ask you something, Ellen. So the video, for instance, will show, let's see, a group collaborating. So how they are discussing things and things like that. I mean, modeling a discussion or modeling how they solve problems and so on.
Yeah, what actually the video modeling examples, they are designed artifacts in themselves, and they show actual behavior. So it's one example of actual behavior, because in many videos that are made, it's more or less an instructional video describing components and so on, but not actually displaying behavior. Well, of course, it's just one example of possible behavior associated with a mastery level, but at least it gives an impression of all kind of aspects that are associated with this mastery description. So, and at the moment I saw a question. It's in moment it's indeed only the positive level in the video modeling examples that are displayed. So we didn't really we didn't make the negative example or the less positive example in the video modeling examples. So, but in order to develop these video modeling examples, we actually wrote scripts and associated bits in the scripts with the different sub-skills complex skills consists of. And the whole video model examples, they were like acted. So we hired actors to display this modeling behavior. But these are actors that are actually in the age range of the students that are working with the tools. So I saw one other example. You can precisely what you mean by quality.
Yeah, I think you already answered those are the positive level of the rubric.
Sorry?
And also, if you can precise what you mean by quality analysis feedback.
Quality analysis feedback? Well, these are different concepts in one question. So what I meant with the tip and top, it's that if people assess others, they first rate a person on a sub-skill in one of the 4 mastery level descriptions. And for each skills hierarchy cluster, they provide a tip and a top. So if you look at the, can you still see my screen or?
No. Yeah, no.
You can?
Yeah, we can see. You can see your screen.
Yeah. So for example, you see here you have the sub-skills. If you click on the sub-skill, you get this 4 mastery level descriptions. But for each skill cluster, you see this tab. It's, for example, this is for presenting. It's choosing and organizing content of your presentation. then for each skill cluster, you provide tips and tops to a peer that you were assessing. So you're providing peer feedback by selecting the compliant mastery level description and by providing tips and tops, which looks like this. So
okay, and Carolina asks if you can or if you have these rubrics in English, the English version.
So if we have the rubrics in English at the moment. No, at the moment we don't have them in English. However, we need to also write about our project, and then of course we need to translate. If we want to publish in journal, then we need to translate at least parts of the rubrics, and well, probably it's quite easy actually to translate the rubrics from Dutch to English. But currently we don't. We only have it in Dutch.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we can move on and then to have some minutes after our presentation to have a common short discussion with all of us together. So
thank you very much for your attention, and take a look at the presentation if it went too fast, because it's a lot of information in 20 minutes, I realize.
Okay, thank you very much, Helen. I think really it's very good work. It's very interesting. And I hope that it doesn't just rest on a research project, and that it can be implemented in schools and I think also in higher education. Yeah.
Yes, actually, there is interest from other parties to make from our research prototype a more elaborate product. So
yeah, very interesting.
That this will work out.
Okay, thank you very much. So we go to the second presentation, and in my case, well, I changed my hat. Now I'm also I also co-present this presentation with my colleague Miguel Santamaria from UNED. We belong to the same university, but to different faculties. He's from the Faculty of Economics. Miguel, if you want to, you can present yourself, and then I continue presenting.
Of course. First, I am so proud to be here this evening. It's having with you our experience on formative feedback. I teach economic history at UNED since a lot of years. I need to deal with a very large group. For instance, in one of the subjects in which we have been working, we have more than 3,000 students. This requires to see how we can give feedback to this large number of students in order to improve their motivation and their engagement. I also am the coordinator of a group at UNED working on this kind of thing, in teaching innovation. And for me, it's a great opportunity. This webinar to share our experience and, of course, to get new ideas about what we're doing.
Okay, Miguel, thank you very much. I'm going to continue with the presentation. In the first part, I'm going to speak, and then I'm going to give the floor to Miguel again. So I don't know, I'm not quite sure, Lizzie, if I can maximize the presentation. So it's me who has to maximize it?
I think it is maximized here.
Yeah, but I can't see the slides on the right. No, not to maximize in this sense. I mean that I see the next slides, so I don't know if you also see the next slides as well.
No, you just see it because you're the presenter.
Okay. So thank you very much. So this on the topic we would like to address: fostering engagement and learning through formative feedback, and show you some UNED developments and the use we are doing, and we are doing research on in automatized and mobile feedback for both closed and open-ended questions. As Miguel said, we are a very large university, I think the largest in Europe now, We have subjects with thousands of students, and it's very complex to give a formative assessment and trying to deal with this problem of a large number of students. So as you already know, I'm a psychologist, and so I'm very much involved in or interested in our students in the sense of their psychological characteristics and the learning process. So Tinto, as you already know, it's a very good expert, a high-level expert in students drop out. You all know that this is a problem we have in distance education. And in 2007, he said at the time that after 50 years of research, well, we all have discovered that engagement is a key issue and very critical, and even more in the first year of the students. So we have to pay attention to these engagement levels of our students. So this is one of the things we are very much focused on. So we want to make our students love their studies, and this is not always easy. And one of the ways that we started doing research on many years ago, and we still are doing research with my team in psychology and under a multidisciplinary team, is trying to know our students and their psychological and psychosocial characteristics. And just let me summarize very briefly that we have found like two different types of students. Those that are engaged and keep their engagement before exams, and those that the period of the exams arrives are completely burned out, is what we call academic burnout. So well, this slide was expected to be introducing things not at once, but I'm going to try to do the same, explaining to you the different parts. So talking about engaged students, those that are really involved and feel passion for their studies, and those compared to those that are completely burned out, we found out first that there are some kind of personality traits that distinguish between these two types of students. The first is that engaged students present intrinsic motivation, personal initiative, and autonomous learning, perception of competence, academic resilience, and they really feel passion for their studies. Whereas burnout students show lower levels of intrinsic motivation, and they feel themselves less efficacy and show low resilience and low abilities to or capabilities to manage stress. The interesting part of that is that they also present very different ways of coping with learning. So engaged students persevere, they do not procrastinate. What we have found is something very relevant in terms of student success. They do not avoid difficulties. I mean, they have an active coping when they face challenges and difficulties with their studies, and they really study with deep processing. And just this is quite the opposite in burnout students. They really tell us that they procrastinate, that they don't persevere, they have academic anxiety levels, and they avoid difficulties. So at the end, engaged students show well-being and positive affect and perception of being prepared for exams and sustained interest, whereas burnt out students show negative affect, anxiety, and really perception of not being prepared for the exams. The thing is that this is like a vicious cycle, so a positive one and a negative one. So this is an empowering process, because as much as you get engaged, as much as you feel more motivated, you persevere more and so on, but also as much as you feel burnt out, you are going to procrastinate more and to lose your motivation. So this is something we have very much in mind, thinking about what we can do to prevent this this bad state of the students and to promote engagement. And so that was why we call this presentation Fostering Engagement. And one of the ways we find out that it's quite related to fostering engagement is just precisely feedback. So you have here two great experts also in feedback, Hadi and Gibbs, and they also tell us that what makes most difference to student achievement is just precisely the powerful single influence of feedback, and this has been proved in along many years of research. And specifically, formative assessment is something very important because it's contributing really to this scaffolding of the learning of the students. I found out this funny sentence that you are going to find out also in other places and in the internet with this difference. I mean, Ellen showed shows also one picture of the difference between formative and summative assessment that is, I think, quite interesting in the sense of growth. And here is also something very similar, more funny, that says that, well, when the cook tastes the soup, that's formative because we can do something, we can try to improve this soup. But when the guest tastes the soup, that's summative. I mean, there's no way to change that. That would be the difference. So coming again to our experience, we try to work very much and to engage our students through online feedback, but for larger numbers. So that's a problem. Each of our subjects, for instance, economic history in the case of Miguel, and in my case, personality and individual differences with thousands of students all over the country. In my subject, nearly 4,000. And with the support of tutors, well, we are, I mean, it's a great human resource, but we cannot cope with the idea of giving a continuous formative assessment in the way we would want to if it should be, for instance, tutors who the ones to give this continuous feedback. So in our group of innovation that is coordinated by Miguel, Smart and Adaptive Learning and Teaching Group, first we have started during many years doing, well, enriching our online courses with this idea of when the guest tastes the soup. So to increase the opportunity for our students to have a summative assessment during the course with different things. Here is just one example. With my subject, I'm sure that you are doing similar things with multimedia, with short online tests or synchronous online exams that I do with my students, with more than 1,000 at once doing one exam along the year, or with written reports about a reading, and in this case, evaluated by tutors. The two first are just well, online tests as usual in any platform that give feedback to the students. So this is summative assessment. We have done this for years, and we have found that really it works. And well, those students that really actively participate in summative feedback along the year, they take the exam in a higher percentage. I mean, they don't drop out, and this is something very important for us. And also they reach higher marks, and they present lower percentage of fails. So, well, that was the beginning. But going further, we wanted really formative assessment, and we looked forward which kind of online tools could help us to offer our students this formative assessment for both closed and open-ended questions along the course. So we started with a formative assessment with tests, and we found out, I don't know if you have heard about this professor, medical professor in Harvard, Price Kerfoot. He started doing research on what he called spaced learning versus binge and purge learning. I mean, this that our students usually do, that is to study just in the very last moment. So his objective was, is our objective too, to improve long-term retention in those matters that requires to learn content and to memorize things and to return in the long term. So he developed an application that is called QuizStream. QuizStream is online learning radically simplified, is what he calls this application. Why? Because it entirely consists of questions. So you are daily sending, in a proactive way, questions by mail to your students. They are programmed before. Miguel is going to explain then after with the application we have developed how it works. But it's just like this. I mean, if students have to learn content, what they do is they receive questions with a very good feedback. And well, there is a whole procedure Miguel is going to explain after. The thing is, this application developed by Harvard is based on two psychological findings concerning learning of content. First, the spacing effect, and this effect says that if the information is presented and reinforced over spaced intervals of time, maybe 2 days, 3 days, a week, this is a way to reduce the forgetting curve. If you again have to answer to the same questions concerning relevant issues, of course, and if you give a good formative feedback. Then it's the testing effect. And testing is more effective. I mean, when we think in terms of testing with online tests, as we have in our platforms, it's more effective than just reading or watching videos. So if our students, for instance, can watch a video and they're answering a test, I'm sure you also might be doing that. This is active learning. So combining this, but in a proactive way, so that questions arrive to the students. The research been done with the QStream in Harvard with students preparing their in the medicine in the School of Medicine showed that really the knowledge acquisition improved, and long-term retention up to 2 years also. And even the behavior changed. So it not just was a thing of retaining knowledge. Well, our team having done experiences with QuizStream in the past, and with this learning by testing idea, with good results with our students that really love to do this kind of things, really like to work in the activity, and want to be that other subjects could use this same type of activities and help them not to procrastinate. So I'm not going to enter any more in that. So I'm going to give the floor to Miguel to explain how we keep on proceeding with exploring these possibilities of formative assessment with technology after these first good experiences. Because I had to say that QuizStream was open at the beginning, but now it's an application that is closed and really very expensive. Just only a brief note to say that our students, those that participated in the QuizStream experiences, really said that they were, or they felt really prepared for the exams. Not completely, but most of them felt really prepared for the exams afterwards. So, Miguel, when you want.
Thank you, Angeles. Well, in the second part of this presentation, we will present to you two tools developed UNED to provide formative feedback and to foster student engagement. First, UNED Trivia. Well, UNED Trivia is a Moodle activity plugin. It's what developed at the UNED in the context of master thesis under my supervision. It's allowing instructor to create quizzes using space specification and text effect. It can be used on mobile device, that means everywhere at any time. It is a type of question and answer game in which students can compete with each other by earning points and badges. Finally, UNED Trivial is published and available on the Moodle public site for plugins. Well, it's a game. In this slide, you can see the main rule of this game. The objective of the game is to remove all questions from the trivia. The trivia is a set of questions. Once a student is enrolled, the student receives daily some question by email. For each correct answer, student gets points and receives feedback. And for each mistake, the student loses points and receives also feedback. After each wrong or correct answer, the question is resent within 10 days. One question is removed when it is answered correctly twice. When a question is removed, the participant gets a bonus according to the number of trials required to remove the question. More trial, lower bonus. After finishing the trial, the student receives a badge. This slide, you can see the kind of feedback that each student receives after an answer. Of course, they give the answer, cover the wrong, the points, a deep explanation, also the forward question date, and the student relative position on the leaderboard. The leaderboard is very useful because our students to check their records. They can see this were correct and what is wrong in the answer. Well, to add unit trivial to your Moodle code is really very easy. When the plugin is added to a Moodle site, you only need to on editing mode and choose unit trivial between the activities available. To configure unit trivial, you must define the number of questions to answer per day, the number of answers of consecutive hits to remove the question, the number of days to resend a question when error, the score to get when incorrect answer, the score obtained when correct answer, and finally the criteria for completing the activity in order to get a badge. Unit trivial offers 3 types of questions: single answer, multiple answer, answer. To add question, 2 import items format are available. You can choose between Google XML or a specific format or plain text file. Unit trivial has their own analytics. Overall analytics show you the number of participants, the number of participants' answers. It also has a mailing facility to send message to a specific group of users, for instance, low active participants. You can also get overall performance analytics and activity level per week. And finally, you can get participants and questions analytics. This day we are finishing the first pilot with the student. This slide you can see some of the students' opinion. Our students think that unit trivial is useful to consolidate what they have been learned, to foster interest in the subject, to increase their motivation, etc. About user experience, our students say that they would like to do this activity in another subjects. They love to work with unit trivial. They consider this activity as an opportunity and found it fun. Our students also report that they made use of the times to answer daily questions. That means that unit trivial helps the student to a better management of time, for instance, when commuting. Well, the second tool we will present to you is your rubric. Your rubric allows to offer personalized feedback on open-ended activities. This has been developed by a research group of the UNAID Educational Psychology Department, working with other researchers of Madrid Autonomous University. According with the literature, the feedback is the critical factor for personalizing learning, fostering performance improvement, and increasing student motivation. But which is the kind of feedback that our students expect? As users of technologies, our students expect a quick iterative feedback. They love learning by trial and error, but only technology can provide this kind of feedback. The problem is that quizzes have severe limitation to assess more complex learning outcomes, soft skills, including writing and communication. This is the reason because our challenge is how to give quick and iterative feedback for open-ended questions in a sustainable way by using technology. Now I will explain to you what your rubric is and how it works. I don't have the time nor the technical expertise required for an in-depth technical explanation about your rubric. If you are interested in that, you will find more information in the references included at the end of this presentation. I will focus my presentation on how the rubric has been used to improve formative feedback in our subject, academic history. Your rubric is a set of 3 applications: Galito Studio, Galito API, and your rubric. Well, to implement in the subject your rubric, we need to follow 3 steps. First, to build up a specialized corpus, in our case, in economic history. To do that, we did the so-called Galito Studio app. Our corpus is based on our economic history textbook and 5 more writing by a very Spanish professor. Second, several learning activities based on so open-ended questions should be developed. For this step, we also use Galito Studio. Later, we will see an example of these activities. And finally, these activities were offered to our students by using a web interface called rubric. Through this interface, the students send their answer to a cloud application called Galito API. And this app compares the student answer with the canon answer according test, using as a reference the semantic space previously obtained, and offer a quick and rich feedback to the student. At this slide, we can see an example of one of these activities. It has 3 elements: the question, the canon answer according test, and some conceptual axes defined by some descriptors. In this example, we have 4 conceptual axes related to the definition of mercantilism, the trade and manufacturing policies, and the historical context. To help to understand how your rubric works, I will show you an example. In this slide, we can see the web interface of your rubric. Once the student registers in the rubric website, the student chooses an activity. Then the student can write down or paste an answer to the topic in an open text field by keyboard. Also, the facility offered by mobile device can be used to introduce the answer. After submitting an answer, the student receives immediately the feedback consisting of the content grade between 0 and 10, still grades regarding the grammar accuracy, which should be upper to 80 to be correct. Also, for each conceptual axis, the student receives graphical feedback that shows to what extent the answer is close to the assessment area, delimited by two vertical green lines in the right side of the graph. That means to what extent the answer is correct. This graphical feedback lets the student to know how they could improve their answer by adding new information in the next file. After checking this feedback, the student can review his previous answer again and make new attempt, adding, for instance, further information, in this case about mercantilist policies. And feedback is provided, as can be seen in our example. After adding the information, the content rate grows up, and also the answer for each conceptual axis gets closer to the assistance area. After some experience, we could verify how the student using the feedback could improve their answer between the first and the last attempt. Regarding the students' agreement with the grade recited, 70 of the students reported that agree very much or a lot with the grade. The student report also that your rubric activities had a positive effect on his motivation. Furthermore, the 80% of the students consider rubric totally or very much useful regarding exam preparation. More than 80% of the students consider the experience very much or totally positive.
Well, we decided to continue with me again with the conclusions of the presentation. To just reflect on the relevance of formative feedback for closed and open-ended questions. So I think we have tools and interesting tools such as we have showed with Stream or with Net Trivia, for instance, for closed questions like this in a proactive way. That's the difference. I mean, a gamified, mobile, proactive way. But also, I think it's quite interesting, this application of rubric to be able to assess open-ended questions to lead our students to know how to write and how to express themselves in an open way, because we are using a lot of tests in distance education. So these tools can be really very powerful tools to foster, as we said at the beginning, and the students have told us like that, and to foster interest, engagement, and motivation, and that would lead to reduce procrastination and to improve their time management on the course. And in the end, what we have found is that they can consolidate learning better and to promote academic performance and the student satisfaction. But also the thing is that we can combine the assessment of this these competences more related to knowledge with those more related to more complex competences. So, well, finally, what we see is that with all these presentations is that students need more formative assessment, more continuous gamified, mobile, and personalized feedback. I think personalizing feedback is one of the key issues that we have to work on with technologies. So this is one desire that we should invest to offer ubiquitous and personalized learning environments with adaptive capabilities for each student. And in this sense, I think European projects can really contribute to, if we work together for the development of applications and apps and mobile apps for helping our students. And this is one of the objectives that we have for the next future. These are some of the references here, but we are going to send Lizzie also the document where you can find out the link directly to this papers, the papers we have written about the experiences we have presented. And we want to thank you for your attention. I know it's time for sharing ideas and experiences about all these tools, also the video rubrics. And we would like to just share with you to thanks to start discussion and debates, and is thanking in the kind of students we have, adult part-time students, is that, well, they need to find out many times where to study, to find out suitable times, a lot of times, and to find out activities such as unit trivial, to learn and to do things, for instance, waiting the bus and things like this is what our students have said to us, and that they find these tools really useful for this, for finding places, small slots of time to do learning activities. So we need tools to identify students' best learning moments, best learning resources in each context, like the Tetris of the image we have shown. Tools for self-regulated learning, for self-organizing the learning day, and set realistic goals. So, well, we would like to know if you are investing in this kind of search in your own experience. And the other thing, coming to the higher level in competences and things like the ones that Ellen has presented to us on one very important, like writing to learn. We need more also. We need to incorporate in semantic research and artificial intelligence to give support, on the one hand, to our students in the way they can learn in a better way, but also to all the academic staff in distance education with large numbers, because we need also this kind of support. So thank you very much, and please, you're mostly welcome to comment, ask, to share your experience. We would like to know if you are doing formative assessment as well, and how are you doing and dealing with that, if you have also large number of students as we had, and if you have any other experience you would like to share with us, it would be, well, most welcome. And also, Ellen, you are invited to be here with us in the discussion, the panel discussion.
Each student only can see their own records. Of course, the teacher, the instructor can see all of them, but each student only can see their own records. They can see the points get for all the participants, of course, because it's a competition, but only you can see their own records.
The detailed record, yeah, but also what they can see is the leaderboard. So what they see is well, the list of all their colleagues and mates, and who has who is leading. I mean, the leaderboard. So this is why it introduced some kind of competition, and it could be also very interesting for groups of students. For instance, in our case, in our local centers, where the students can meet in a face-to-face way, and so also tutors could work with this kind of tools to make some sort of competition or group. So it's just well, the creativity we can use to find out ways, because although they tell us that they don't really very much, they don't really like very much to compete between each other, but it is true that it introduces some sort of competition, and also it is really engaging, because we have found in both subjects students that at the end of the semester, for instance in summer, they say that they keep on answering questions because they really felt engaged to the activity. So it has something of engagement, like gamified, of course, activity. We stopped to use QuestStream because it became a closed application. So I think that maybe it was at the beginning a research program of Carefoot, but then it seems that it's a company, I think, that has got the application. So now it's used for companies to train their employees, for instance. So I think it is very good to work, as Miguel has done with a student, a master level student, to develop applications in this sense for applications open and that can be used in Moodle for by everyone. What do you mean, Luke, by to provide a bit less quality feedback? If it means that we can, well, I think we can provide many levels of feedback. You can find out, for instance, what Ellen has explained about to increase the level of feedback that a student can receive. So you can give just a short sentence, or to tell the student where he or she can find out the answer, and more explanations. You can give more detailed explanations in the answers, or you can give some automatized like rubric that really gives a very good information to help the student to increase the quality of his own or her own answer. Do you have some experience in your own? I mean, if you are teachers, although most of you are managers, but do you know some other experiences, for instance, to evaluate open-ended questions like rubric? We could just three of you that are writing, it would be quite interesting to have like three different windows to see your comments. Oh, great. And is this similar to NetTrivial or QuestStream? Oh, okay. Oh, we can share our experience and our different tools. Oh, okay. Claudine, correct numbers in UNED, really, we need these kind of tools, that's for sure. I mean, the academic staff is overloaded, at least in UNED. But I also agree that those kind of tools are quite interesting in MOOCs. For instance, MOOCs are very much limited to questions. Things like NetTrivial could add a more proactive way of learning, but also if we explore and we develop more tools related to semantic analysis and things like that, I think MOOCs could really receive a good tool for that, because you know that with MOOCs it's very difficult to go further than tests. So King, so it is your spacing tool is similar. It's based, I mean, in the same ideas of spacing and testing. Is this similar to NetTrivial? Oh, okay, great. Yeah, I agree with you. Look, I think we can offer like different levels of feedback, but the thing is that at least what we have found out is that students need to be engaged, need to receive in a proactive way like questions or things that keep them engaged in an active way with their studies. And even a small piece of feedback I think is a good thing, because it's giving information to the student about how he or she is progressing. So even small pieces of feedback are acceptable. But of course, we can have different activities, and some of them maybe just can be self-evaluation tools with tests and in a very simple way. But others, I think we can really improve the feedback we are were given. Yep. Oh. And did you work in some? Did you work in some MOOC specifically? Yeah. 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 That's from the point of view, Kim, of a psychologist. I think it's quite interesting. Do you mean also the kind of sentences we give to them to engage them, to motivate them when they receive the feedback, or is related to the content? Oh, I tracking, yeah, that's interesting too. Did you ask them to record their thinking a lot? For instance, when they are doing something? Are you doing something like that? You mean with eye tracking and thinking aloud? Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, take that as great. Yeah. Very interesting. Yeah. In my faculty and in our group of innovation, there are colleagues of us that are working also with emotions. So trying to also to track emotions if they feel stressed, for instance, when they are doing some tasks on the computer and things like that. To yeah, that's interesting too. I'm using pure feedback in the master level, but to well, to assess others' work. Yeah, I think there's a lot to do, and I think the main idea of all this is that we are trying to find out solutions to one of the problems of distance education, and is the massification. And that, of course, that we know that learning is a scaffolding process, and that students cannot go just as in the past to the end with the bulk and have a final test. So, of course, this is very easy to say when you are in a face-to-face university, but in the distance education, I think that now we have a lot of opportunities to do things differently and to take advantage of that. Supported in my case, and is supported by technology. Yes, yeah, they can give. If you mean that, yeah, in groups, they work in groups with collaborative tools, and they write reports collaboratively online. Great ideas, great ideas. But Lizzie tells me that we have to close the session. So I think that one of the ideas of the Empower also is this of sharing, having the opportunity to share experiences, ideas, and maybe to prepare projects coming from different universities. Lizzie.
Yes, indeed. So yes, it's already time. Time flies by so quickly. So thank you very much, everyone, for being here. And Angeles, thank you very much for moderating. Ellen, Miguel, Angeles, thank you for your very interesting presentations and all for your active participation as well. The next Empower webinars will be organized in September, the last week of September. We will have a quality assurance week. So we hope to see you all there. We'll inform you as soon as the dates are set, and we will send you the recordings, so either today or tomorrow. So thank you all very much. Angeles, Ellen, Miguel, anything else you would like to say?
No, thank you, and enjoy the summer.
Okay, yes.
We deserve holidays. We deserve holidays.
And enjoy the sun, where the sun is shining.
For your interest in the project.
Thank you to all of you.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.